Today, the beautiful gospel is given to us, the Beatitudes, from the gospel writer Saint Matthew. So, the Beatitude comes from the root word Latin. It is Beatus, meaning blessed or happy. So, the meaning of Beatitude is being happy. And also, according to the chronological data, the age of Beatitude is almost 2000 years old. And there are almost 1 crore or more than that number of reflections or understandings of this Beatitude emerged from the great scholars, theologians, as well as the saints. One of the great theologians of all time is Augustus. We might have heard his name, especially the present second years glorious might have heard. According to him, the Beatitude is the perfect portrait of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the perfect Beatitude. And also it says, Beatitude is the pattern for sainthood. First of all, taking the Beatitude as the perfect portrait of Jesus Christ. So when we read it, blessed are the poor in spirit, Jesus was very poor. As mentioned in the introduction by the deacon, so we are dependent. Jesus was completely dependent on his Father. Especially that is expressed, he was praying the Our Father. The prayer of Our Father is a complete dependence of oneself. That means Jesus depends on his Father. The second one is before his passion, Jesus prays in the Garden of Gethsemane. And there he was telling to his father, if it is possible, let this cup move from me. So that clearly shows how Jesus was dependent on his father. Secondly, those who mourn. The mourning here is not for the cry or the shedding tears, but the mourning for the poor people, those who are grieving. Jesus sat with the tax collectors and he had a conversation with the sinners. In a way, mourning for them to turn back their life, change their life. So Jesus was mourning. And blessed are the meek. The meek here symbolizes the humble person. This clear example is Jesus entered into Jerusalem with a donkey. And he was not very powerful king, but a very submissive leader, one who enters into the Jerusalem. Whereas we see the Damascus experience, where St. Paul encountered Jesus Christ, there he was with a horse. Though there was no biblical reference, but the pictures portray that Paul was with a horse, telling that he was a powerful man, then he became a submissive man. But Jesus was a very submissive, entering into Jerusalem with a donkey. And the other one was, blessed are the merciful. The merciful here says, Jesus, God Himself is a mercy. Jesus was merciful to the sinners, the tax collectors, and especially the adulterous woman, so and so. Jesus was merciful. And He was pure in heart. He had only one will of God, do the will of my Father. Because of that I came. So a kind of a kenotic spirituality we also experienced and learned in a retreat what is the kenotic spirituality. So the kenos is like being pure in your heart. Another one is the blessed or the peacemaker. Here Jesus made a peace with the sinners. When the adulterous woman was stoned, others, the Israelites were stoning the adulterous woman. But Jesus came and said, if you are pure in your heart, let you be stoned. So that says Jesus kind of made a peace with oneself, with himself and with others. And blessed are those who are persecuted. Persecuted, Jesus was crucified, he suffered, and the Pontius Pilate, that we read in the creed, and he was crucified. So the whole beatitude is not that he is telling to some people, but it is of himself, Jesus himself. So Jesus is the perfect beatitude. Secondly, it also offers us the pattern for sainthood. One example, great example is Francis of Assisi. He chose poverty as the root, the way to God, and he lived his life in utter poverty, begging from others, and he had nothing of his own. And sometimes he's walking without any slippers on his legs and going with a torn cloth. So there are a lot of legendary stories of him. So he chose poverty as a means to see God. So in a way, that also falls under the beatitude. And Mother Teresa chose charity as a way to seeing God, and he did that. And actually, God, they also we can add up some saints, and their life reflect the reality. And here is very specially our patron, Sir Francis Jesus, very clever in his teachings, especially in his masterpiece, Love of God, Introduction to Devout Life. He has put only two words to us: Live Jesus. That Live Jesus summarizes the whole Beatitude. And our founder was very clear. He did not write anything, but he said, I follow St. Francis Jesus. So everything, ultimately, we are following St. Francis Jesus, or where we are in a different way, saying gentleness, humility, or poverty, charity, all these things. So all these things given by Jesus Christ and expressed in the Beatitude. And today, how we look at Beatitude? That is the great question we need to ask to ourselves. What is the Beatitude for myself? And what is the meaning I make of Beatitude? There are so many sentences discussed about who are me and all these things. Who you are, you symbolize this. What is the meaning I want to make? And we are beginning our academic journey. As the rector mentioned, it is not about how much mark we get. That will only satisfy our intellect, but how much we understand God. So find God in the scriptures. So that is the great mark that we get for our studies from this academic journey, especially the first years and the second years of learnings, also takers also. We continue to learn and understand God better, and may God bless us and give us His strength and wisdom to continue this journey. Dear Jesus.